Okay, welcome to Thursday afternoon in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona, where it's 100 degrees and getting hotter each day. So I look forward to this every week to meet with you guys and to share and discuss things that are important. We're going to be talking about unpopular facts about building teams, whether you're building a one-person team or you're building a 500-person team. And as many of you know, I've over the years, I've worked on lots of them, lots of teams. Hey, Lars, good to see you. Good to see you. And again, when it comes to teams, I'm going to talk about unpopular facts or myths about building teams. Okay. And I got quite a list. I had to stop after about 7 or 8. So I want to share those with you today, because here's the thing. If you guys are going to succeed in business, which most of you are here looking to do that, you got to have a team. Now, whether you need a 500-person team and all that stuff, we'll discuss that in a second. But the truth of it is, if you want to do anything big, you can't do it yourself. You only have so much energy and so much time and so much potential leverage. But even if you have leverage, you're going to have to leverage your time, your money, your efforts, your ideas through other people. So as much as you want to run, if you're in the self-employed quadrant that Robert Kiyosaki talks about, hey, Terasak from Thailand. Good to see you. If you are, and again, we're talking about teams today. So if you're in the S quadrant, the self-employed quadrant, working alone, it's the highest tax structure. It's in America right now, with the new tax laws, those guys are going to get the what beat out of them. And you work 24/7. It's 24/7. If you move to the B quadrant, the business or the branded side, at that point, then that predicates a team, so that you are more of a leader. You're still going to work your butt off, but you're going to get much more leverage. I mean, if you have 5 people selling as opposed to one person selling, you should maybe not get 5 times the result, but at least twice the result out of that. So again, teams, I can go on and on and on about teams. So we're going to be talking about Avu, Lite. Hello, good to see you. Good to see you. So we're going to talk about unpopular facts about assembling teams. One of the popular facts that we're going to blow out of the water here right out of the gate has to do with, I don't have enough money. So what I'm going to do to put together a team is I can trust my family. I can trust my friends. And that's a good place to start. Hey, Barry Mitchell, good to see you. I'm sure you want to chime in on teams. So I'm going to get some friends and some family to be part of my team. I'm going to tell you something. That's not a good idea, okay? Unless you have a very extraordinary family. I can give you a whole bunch of reasons why. Number one, family members that know you, that grew up with you, have a history with you. There's a conditioning around that. There's a whole interplay that goes on between you and the rest of your family, which may be fun. It may be okay. But when push comes to shove and you have to make a decision, and now you're having to make a family decision, it's not the same as making a team decision, okay? So what happens is we have all of these mechanisms, little voice mechanisms that we put together to collaborate with other people, to work with other people, and just to communicate. I don't know about you. I love my family. I love all my siblings. I love my parents. I love my cousins. I would never go into business with them. Why? Well, because there is a history there. Now, I don't need to go into all the little voice stuff about it, but to understand that if you're trying to move ahead, play a big game, your game could be a lot bigger than their game. And that's going to end up in a conflict someday. Don't do that. Don't do this. Oh, Blair, you always do that. You always try to force your will, blah, blah, all that stuff. You don't want that in a team. So I'm not going to recommend it. I'm also not going to recommend friends. I mean, people come in your team, they can become friends, but I'm saying don't be taking your old friends and turning them into team members just because you don't have any money and you think they're good guys. We had a franchise. Barry Mitchell, who's on this line, he's probably chuckling to himself. He said, we had a franchise. It was a multi-million-dollar franchise that spanned over 20 countries around the world with my best friend in the world. And it's not because he was a bad person. It's not because I was a bad person. It's just we assumed because we were good friends that when we put money and we put decisions and we put missions and we put all that together, it would just be great. And it wasn't. The divisions between how we saw the world became more apparent. I'm not saying I was right. I'm not saying he was wrong. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying it became very, very difficult. So I'm going to recommend I'm going to say that friends, family, if you're looking to put together a team and you want to move quickly and you want to move with vision and you want to be able to learn from your own experiences, I'm going to say avoid it if you can. My opinion, you don't have to agree. There are family businesses out there that do extremely well. But most of those businesses are businesses that were created by parents or grandparents. And then those were passed down by generation, which is a bit different than just coming together and say, hey, you're my friend. Let's create a business. Or, hey, you're my brother or sister. Let's create a business. That's a different scenario. One was already created, and I guarantee it was created in most cases by sole individual, okay, or by a parent, okay? So that's number one. I'm going to say avoid all that. Very true. Thank you, Brian. I'm glad you agree with that, okay? So second big myth about teams. I can't have a team because I'm broke. I have no money. You don't need money for a team. I mean, eventually you will, but if you're just starting, if you're using money as an excuse, that's your little voice taking you out of the game. It's going to take you out of the game. Okay. Why am I saying that? Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that things have changed these days. Right now, most of you clearly, if you're communicating with me, you're on social media, right? So you have a community. Is that your community, your team? Not necessarily. It's your community. But some of that community could also become customers, right? Yeah, so they become customers. Now, are they a team? Not yet, but you went from community. Now you ciphered those down, and now you got some good customers. Now you want to build a team. Let's say you want to build a sales team, or you want to build a production team, or a logistics team, or a team that can support you in moving forward. Do you have to pay them? Maybe commission if they're selling something. But if they love what you do, you now take your community, turn them into customers, then they can become part of your team. Then that team can actually help you build more community. Now that's called a movement. Martin Luther King, and Gandhi, Mother Teresa they piloted or were visionaries for movements. I don't think they paid hardly any of those guys, except maybe the core people, but that's an example. And now with social media, more than ever, you can do that if you're a good communicator, if you're authentic, if you're real, people really get your message and you are good at communicating it, you can have an amazing team. Now, there's certain limitations on that, but the excuse is, I don't have any money. What do I need a team? No, I don't have any money. Therefore, I cannot afford a team. And once I make more money, then I'll be able to hire a team. Not going to happen. You're never going to make enough money unless you go out and seek funding to do that. Okay. If you're looking to bootstrap your business or just get it going and make sure that it's a valid idea. And by the way, just because you think it's a good idea doesn't mean it works. That's the other myth about teams. Not every vision becomes a reality. Not every vision is matched to to your skill set or to the skill set of the people around you. You may find that the people hanging around you are not hanging around you because they want to build a training business. Maybe it's because they just want to become better people. They just want to become the best they can be, and you're very inspirational to them. So again, a lot of these simplistic ideas about building teams can trip you up. And in a digital age, it can trip you up very, very quickly, and it can spread very quickly because things are viral. Things are very viral when it comes to that. So if you're using money as an excuse, no excuse. Become a better communicator. I've assembled some of the greatest team members on the planet in my business and businesses over the years with not a whole lot of money or with no money. And people would volunteer to be part of it. I'll give you an example. I'm just reading a great book called Shoe Dog. Shoe Dog, not sales dogs, but Shoe Dog. Shoe Dog is the story written by Phil Knight. If you know who Phil Knight is one of the co-founders of Nike. I'm sure you've heard of Nike, okay? And he tells the story about how he had, before it was Nike, it was called Blue Ribbon Shoes or something like that. I'm not going to get into the whole story, but he went for 4 or 5 years with a business and he had team members. He could barely pay them. He didn't even pay himself. But because of the vision, the mission, and what he was trying to do, he was able to cobble that thing along for 3, 4, 5 years, brink of disaster, had other full-time jobs to support himself. And now you know the rest of the story about Nike. Okay, so what I'm saying is I need money to build a team. No, you don't. You need a vision. You need a vision. You need to be be able to articulate it, and you need to have a plan that you can actually that you can at some point put money on the table for you, for the team, if you're going to pay some of that team, but also to fuel the business to grow it. Okay, so those are some other things. Yeah, Barry says that's one of our mottos: sales equals income, and massive income requires a team. Massive and passive income, I may even add, requires a team, because otherwise you're doing it yourself, and that's certainly not passive. Okay, what are some of the other myths? That the cost of a team member, if you're going to hire somebody, the cost of the team member is $15 an hour, US dollars, or it's a salary of $30,000 a year, or whatever it is. That's not the cost. It's not the cost at all. What are the costs in taxes? What are the costs in your contribution to the taxes? What are the costs in healthcare if you're going to provide any of that? So if you're going to be paying $30,000 a year to somebody with a salary, you're paying more than that because you're going to have to pay more in taxes and that kind of thing, if not during the year in payroll taxes, but at the end of the year. So talk to your tax accountant and understand the cost of it. That's why sometimes volunteer work is great. Commission-only work is great because you're not subject to some of those things. Now, if that's confusing, make sure you get a good tax accountant and say, look, I want to bring 1 or 2 people onto my team. What are the tax implications? And get a little bit of an education. By the way, on financial literacy, I'm going to say another thing. Here's something most people won't tell you. What about having people on your team be financially literate? Yeah, in other words, like playing the cash flow game or understanding Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Why, Blair, why are you doing that? Why? Because if a person has financial literacy, they are less dependent on the dollars that you're providing to them. They're more entrepreneurial. They don't seek to make money and get rich just based off of a salary or an income. They understand that financial literacy teaches them that they're going to get rich by what they do with that money. If you've ever played the cash flow game, you'll understand that the occupation card of being a janitor gets you out of the rat race faster than almost any other card. That the higher paying salary, the harder it is to get out. Okay, so again, this is a little tip. Financial literacy will help not only you in your costs, but it'll also help people that you're bringing in. Plus, what a great perk! What a great perk to be able to teach people how to be financially literate. How feed them to sources like all the Rich Dad advisors, to Robert, to all the other sources of teaching people how to be financially literate. Okay, that's a great opportunity, and it's worth a lot of money. Okay, so don't underestimate that. Cloud Mini, start for free. Okay, very true. I teach financial literacy too. I'm a tax accountant. Happy to assist with any questions folks may have. There you go. That's Kimberly Ray. Thank you, Kimberly. Very nice. All right, what's another one? Okay. I kind of alluded to it already. I don't have money. How am I going to build a team? Okay, so do you have a mission? Because what you do need is you need a mission and you need a code of honor. What's a mission? It's a vision. What are you trying to do? We're going to put a training company together and yeah, that's what we're going to do. We put a training company together and I need some people to help with that. Okay, that's not a very compelling mission. I'm not interested. But like our mission for BSTA, Blair Singer Training Academy, our mission is to improve the quality of life for everybody by creating the best teachers, leaders, and facilitators in the world, particularly the ones that work with entrepreneurs. You interested in that? Or are you interested in just hanging out for a program? You see the difference? So if I were to say that your number one skill is a vision, your number one skill is some technical skill, I'm going to say that's a myth. Your number one skill in anything that has to do with being an entrepreneur is your ability to have a vision and, but more importantly than that, to be able to communicate it. If people aren't responding to you and you're pumped up about what you're doing, there's only one issue. It's your inability to communicate it. So take the courses, learn how to talk. In some of our programs, if you go to blairsinger.com in our powerful sales presentation program, our master facilitator program, our trainer mastery programs, we teach people how to do that, how to get in front in less than 10 seconds. What's your mission statement? What are you about? Do it again. No, do it again. No, do it again. Now do it with some energy. Use your body a little bit. Now, all of a sudden, in a matter of minutes, you're now able to communicate your mission or your vision to people and they go, oh, I get it. I'm interested. Why? Remember this about communication. The words, if you've studied NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, you'll understand that the words represent only 7% of the impact of your communication, what you're saying, okay? What's the rest of it then? Well, about 38% of it is your tonality, your volume, the speed, your modulation and the way you say it. And then if you're on a camera or live in a room, the rest of it is all body language, the way you conduct yourself. Somebody said there's like 82 muscles in your face, and every one of them it has an expression or an emotion that goes with it. Understand? I'm just exaggerating. But learn how to communicate. Some of the best plans in the world, some of the best ideas, some of the hardest working people in the world out there were never able to build teams. Why? Because they could not communicate. I'll give you an example. We were doing a trainer mastery program. Gentleman comes on. I was doing it with one of our partners in India. His name's Siddharth. He's an amazing facilitator, and his expertise is in creating online digital products. So you might want to check him out, Siddharth. Anyway, the guy came on. He says, you know what? I've taken all this stuff and I've done, 90 webinars. I've done 90 webinars and I follow the format and nobody buys anything. I looked at him and I laughed. I said, would you care to say that again? He goes, I've done 90. I actually said it like this. I've done 90 webinars and nobody's bought anything. You want to say that again? Yeah, with a little more energy. He goes, yeah, I've done 90 webinars and nobody's bought anything. I go, dude, I'm not buying any. I can't even remember what you said. Okay. So you're going to have to put some energy into it. You got to change your modality. You got to learn how to communicate. Unless you are an amazing copywriter and you can write copy that just wows people to death. But you know what? These days, people want to see at least a video contact, some sort of form of communication. Okay. So what do you need? You do need a mission. You do need to be able to communicate it. And you do need to have a code of honor, which is a set of rules. You're like, yeah, I hate rules. That's why I want to have my own business. I got it. Me too, man. I don't like them either. However, if you got a game that you want to play, the bigger the game you want to play, that game, the size of the game and the impact you're going to have is directly related to your ability to enforce the rules. Why? Because if you don't have them, people make up their own and they may not be what you want them to do. that, you may want to be teaching in the teaching world. Okay. You may want to teach how to create digital products online, right? And the people you bring in really like that, but they want to do more personal development stuff. They want to talk to people about finding your purpose in life. And you're going, well, but we're creating digital products. We're not about teaching people about personal development and life purpose. And all of a sudden now you got your attention is defocused all over the place. Okay. You must be the biggest person in the room is what Kimberly Ray says. Yeah. Hey, Rami, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Yeah, you can speak to teams. Our friend Rami from Thailand. Can't sleep. I'm watching Blair at 3 a.m. Well, maybe I'm the cure for insomnia. I could start talking like this, Rami, and ultimately I could put you to sleep. That's gonna happen. I know you're not sleeping, and I hope it's only because your brain is popping with great ideas. Okay, so again, rules, code of honor. Make sure you have them. Simple rules that hold teams together under pressure. See, in a crazy world, everybody kind of goes to do their own thing. And it's much easier as a leader to divide people than it is to unite them. Robert Kiyosaki and I talk about this a lot. Really difficult to unite people, but you reunite people by having a mission and a code of behavior, a code of honor, which is a set of behaviors that we all want to aspire to if we were to be our ideal selves. What's my ideal self? My ideal self, I'm going to be responsible, no excuses and no blame. That's ideal for me. Ideal, I would never abandon a teammate in need. Ideal, that everybody on our team must sell. Things like this. And am I going to blow it a few times? Yeah, I'm going to blow it a few times. But the other part about this is, I don't know what number I'm on, 5 or 6, is if you're going to have a team, one of the unspoken truths about having a team is you must have the agreement and the permission and the ability to be able to call people out. Now, I know that sounds really harsh. Oh, but I don't want to call people out. And that doesn't mean you got to take them out at the knees. That doesn't mean you got to assassinate them. That doesn't mean you got to make them feel like a piece of dog dirt. But it does mean you need to call people out on their behaviors. If somebody says, if one of your rules is to be on time and somebody's late, you're just going to let them be late? You might as well not have any rules. So you must also have in that code of honor that everybody agrees to call and be called. Otherwise, it has no teeth. There's no teeth in that code of honor. And remember, if a person came and you recruited them the way I've talked in the past about, here's our mission, it's what we're doing, here's our code, is this something you think you can do? And people go, man, I want to be part of a company like that because I want to grow. Or you'll ask them, do you want to grow? Can't guarantee you a lot of things, but do you want to grow? And if they say yes, okay, good. I'm going to remind you, there's one rule in the code of honor says, if you're not doing that, if you're not living up to the agreements that you made, that we all made, somebody's going to let you know about it, okay, until you correct it. Now, again, for some people, oh, that's so harsh. Well, then stay in S and stay working by yourself because the only person you have to be accountable to is yourself, right? It's just you. And that's okay. And that's why a lot of, truth be known, that's why a lot of people operate alone because they just can't hold other people accountable. It's hard enough to hold yourself accountable. Okay. So you need a mission, you need the code of honor, and you need the ability to communicate, to become a great communicator. Okay. And remember, you communicate not just with the words, only 7%. The tonality, the body language are all the rest of it. And that takes practice. I've been practicing this for many, many, many years. I'm still practicing. I'm still taking courses and still learning how to get better. So it never ends. I took a program like that back in 2014. Yeah. Really? And that was 7 years ago? You can do better. It's something you got to be continually do. Now, here's another one. Some people say that if you're going to build a team, you don't need to like your teammates. You just need to respect them. Okay, have you heard that? Okay. Now I'm talking to people, now I'm talking to small business. I'm talking about people that have anywhere from one other person to maybe 25 or 30 other people, okay, at that level, which is most of you, okay? And I'm going to say this. I think, my opinion, that's nonsense. I don't want to work with people I don't like. I don't. Life is too short. Why do you want to work with people you don't like? If it's your company, you hire people that you like. Now, what's your criteria for liking them? Okay, your criteria for liking them is they do all these things. Okay, they're willing to play by the mission, willing to play by the rules. They're going to strive to be better communicators. They're interested in financial literacy. They want to grow. They want to contribute to a game that's bigger than them. That's a friend. That's somebody I like. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to agree with everything they say, but if I don't agree, I would like to know that I really like that person, and I'm willing to get past it a little bit and to negotiate with them a little while. So you know what I'm saying? So people say you don't have to like them, you just need to respect them. That's you can, but I've never. I mean, I gotta honestly say that our BSTA team and Rami at 3:20 in Vietnam. My God, somebody from Vietnam at 3:20 in the morning watching. Oh my goodness. Okay, and Rami and Barry and all you guys that are on this thing. I love you guys. Now, I'm not just saying that to say it, but we have so much history together. I mean, and if we weren't friends inside of all of this, we would have split up a long time ago. Why? Because business is a pain in the butt. And there's a lot of adversity. There's a lot of problems. And in 2020 was no joke to anybody, but we're still together. So you make the choice, your choice on teams, but you don't have to be friends with them. You don't have to like them. Not my point of view. I'm not saying it is the point of view and the rule of all rules, but I'm just going to say, if you're going to play a big game together, wouldn't you rather go into battle with people you like, people you trust, people that you can count on, people whose sorrows or whose tragedies you have empathy for and you care about? And when you have a difficult time, they care about you. Isn't that something you want? Isn't that something you would hope to build in a community, whether they're on your payroll or they're part of your community or part of your customer base? So again, these are some myths. And if I sit here and think about it, I could probably come up with a whole bunch more. Vitor from Brazil. Good to see you, my friend. I understand you guys had a killer sales and leadership mastery program down there last weekend. Excellent. We got Malaysia here too. Excellent. So I'm going to ask you while I'm talking, I want you to write in or comment in on myths or unpopular notions about teams, okay? Based on your experience, or things that maybe people told you that made or didn't make sense to you. So type them in and I'll make some comments about them, all right? But like I said, I think that, I think that teams are how we grow as humanity, right? I mean, a great book that Rami turned me on to is called Sapiens. He talks about the history of human civilization. And if you look over the course of time, human beings tend to gravitate together, not apart. Now, there's a few outliers, but people typically come together. So you have, first we were hunter-gatherers, and then we came together in tribes, and then we came together in villages and towns and cities and bigger cities. So the evidence is that we naturally crave connection. We naturally come together. So why not learn how to do it well and stay with the trend? People say, I just want to get away. I want to get out of the country. Give me a piece of land somewhere in the middle of nowhere and leave me alone. You can do that. But I don't know how long that's going to last. And I don't know how big of a game you're going to be able to play from out there. Okay. So somebody said something to me a few weeks ago is that whatever game you play, and I'm talking typically business, whatever game you play, if you play a small game, there are typically big problems with a small game. How do I know this? Well, if you're a sole proprietor and you're doing everything by yourself, obviously you're playing a small game, you got a lot of problems, and all the problems are on you. Not enough time, not enough money, I lose this customer, I got to get another one, right? And so the smaller the game, the bigger the more problems you have. But the bigger the game, interestingly enough, the fewer the problems. Now, I'm not going to say they're not big problems because they may be bigger, but they're fewer. Okay. Why? Well, because hopefully you have a team that's helping mitigate some of that stuff, number one. And number two, you're dealing with a different set of problems when your game is bigger. So if I'm just building a training company in North Scottsdale, Arizona, just to service this community, I could be very, very busy. But the game is pretty small. The income is pretty limited, and the problems are going to be big. Okay. However, our game is global, 40 countries, trainers in 40 countries. Yeah, we got problems and we have challenges, lots of them, but they're bigger problems. It's bigger problems. It's like, these are marketing problems. What does the world want right now? What skill is demanded in a post-COVID-19 environment? These are bigger problems that are a joy to deal with, that are fun to deal with. Okay. So again, type in your questions or comments about, good to see you. Greetings from Munich. Together, everyone achieves more. Well, together, everyone achieves more if, that's not true. That's another one. I should put that down here. Together, everyone achieves more is not necessarily true. As a matter of fact, I'd say in most cases, that's not true. Okay. I would say if you got a mission, if you got a code, if you're a good communicator, if you got people aligned, everybody together, we create exponentially more. But if you're not, if you don't have those things, it's dysfunctional and it's a royal pain in the butt. Okay. Ideally, that's true. So Anshu, Malik, how can we make people to believe in us and our stuff? Okay. Great question. That's a great question, Anshu. So how do we get people to believe in us? Mission. What is it you're trying to do, and how congruent are you? I'll give you a classic example. Let's say you want to be a trainer or a coach, okay? And you want to coach a life coach. That's a good one. A life coach is pretty popular. Be a life coach, okay? And you want to tell people about being a life coach. You're building a team of life coaches together, whatever it is. And you say are my height, about 5 feet, 8 inches tall, and you weigh about 290 pounds. Now, what's the problem with that? The problem with that, they're not going to believe you. How can the world can be a life coach when you are that fat or when you're that big? It's not congruent. So again, remember, not everything is communicated in words. Do you walk the talk is what I'm trying to say. Are you an active demonstration of what it is you profess to be? Do your values like integrity, honesty, family, education, love, do your values match up with your rules? Never abandon a teammate in need. Be personally responsible. And do the values match up with the rules? Do the rules match up with your demonstration, with your behavior and your thoughts? If you do that, then people will believe you. They'll believe in you. If you're trying to profess to be somebody that you're not, that's never going to work. What it will work is that you will attract people that don't care about that stuff and have somewhat of a little bit of criminal behavior. They're just there to take and not to give. Okay. So lead by example. Yeah. Lead by example. And just, I'm going to say this, lead by being, not by doing. I mean, you're going to, what did I do a coaching call this morning for people that want to be, for our diamond level certified trainers. And they all, one of their outcomes, they want to become world-class trainers, world-class teachers and leaders, actually, because not all of them are trainers. Okay. So that's what they want to be. Okay, good. So that's what you want to be. Okay. Start with who you want to be and then back into what you're going to have to do to be able to have that. Okay. So what do I have them doing? I have them doing miracle mornings in the morning. If you remember, if you know Where is that book? Oh, here it is right here. I was just talking about Hal Elrod's book, Miracle Morning. It's a routine of about 6 or 7 things that you do every morning that don't seem to have anything to do with being a trainer, but it will reprogram who you are. You start with meditation, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading inspirational material, scribing your thoughts for the day, and doing a similar thing at the end of the day. And by doing that for 6, 7, or 8 days, you start to become a different person. Actually, you don't become different. You become more of who you really are. Okay? So it's not so much as an example. Some people think, well, I have to walk the talk. Yeah, you do. Okay? But even more important than that is about doing your best to be the ideal person that you want to be. So the good news about being a leader, being a trainer, is that if you really go down that journey, that road, you will become the person you want to be. Okay? Lead by being, not by doing. Yes, thank you. Be the light. Yeah, thank you, Lars. Be the light. Lead by example. Hello from India. Be more of who you really are. Yeah, let me just say that. One of the reasons, one of my teachers was Alan Walter. He's passed several years ago, but his whole philosophy the reason I liked him is because he had a firm belief that inside of everybody, at the core, is a good person, is a good, pure spiritual being. And all the rest of it was all garbage thrown on top of it that masks it or disguises it. Think about it. If you agree that you're a spiritual being, okay, in a physical body, but you agree that we're all spiritual beings, type in yes in the comment section if you can, okay? And as that comes up, we'll see. So you got to ask yourself, as a spiritual being, would a spiritual being really make mistakes, a lot of mistakes, or would they hurt themselves? And the answer is probably not. Okay. So anything that we're doing, yes. Thank you. Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Kimberly. So if the answer is yes, then if you're making a lot of mistakes and you are doing all these things, then most of the inflictions that we have and the struggles we have are self-sabotage. They're self-inflicted, even if it's unconscious. How about that for a heavy thought? Right? So his philosophy is deep inside, there's a pure spiritual being. And so his method of coaching and processing was just to peel it all back and get rid of all the other garbage that's on top to get to be more of you. That comes back to that comment, is the whole idea is not to change who you are. It appears that way, but it's become more of who you are, more of that. That's my core philosophy. And it's given me a lot of disappointment. It's also given me a lot of hope, but it keeps me optimistic through everything. And I believe that that's in there. And so I'm not professing that belief that you got to believe it. But I'm just telling you that if the choice of being an example or simply of just being more of you, be more of you. And when you think about that, well, I can't be all of me because then they'll see I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, and you walk on eggshells. Let it go, man. Let people know who you really are. If you're an ex-convict, tell them, look, I'm an ex-convict. Okay? I'm reformed. This is what happened to me. I don't think anybody on this call is that way, but if it is, be honest. Well, I got all these skeletons in my closet. What if they find out? I go, dude, I got a whole cemetery in my closet. And it keeps filling up and I have to keep emptying it out. Why? Because I make mistakes. Most everything that happens to me, any struggle that I have, I know. And this is one thing I learned years ago. I learned that it's self-inflicted. I don't know how it is. I don't know why it is, but I know it is. And so it becomes a lifelong study, if you're going to be a leader and drive teams, to work on me, to get more of me. And if you can get your team to be more of themselves, now I'm not saying we're going to sit around the fire and hold hands and sing. That's not what I'm talking about. Because remember, in this whole realm was the ability to call out and be called. Okay. And we have to set realistic goals, and people got to produce. One of the other challenges, and it should be here as an unpopular fact, people say, well, I didn't make any sales, but I really learned a lot. Okay, I'll take that one time. I'll take that one time. Well, I didn't sell anything this week either, but I really am learning so much about myself. Okay, stop. Now you're delusional. Okay, do not let personal lessons get in the way of your task. Do not let your own psychosis, whether it's good or bad or mediocre, stand in the way of getting a result. That's one of the big problems in the personal development world. Well, I'm learning so much and this is great. I go, I got it. But where are the numbers? We're trying to make a movement here. We can't do it with nobody coming through the door. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. Love it. Agree with you. Being more of yourself. Still have that question. How can we get into the bigger game? Good. That's a good question because, how do you get into a bigger game? I ask myself that constantly. I also hang around and Barry and Rami, if they're still on, they'll laugh. I also hang around a guy by the name of Robert Kiyosaki, and he is continually pounding everybody around him. Play a bigger game, bigger game, bigger game. Too small, too small. ESBI, got to go to the B. S stands for self-employed. No, S stands for singer. S stands for solo. S stands for selfish. S stands for stupid. I don't know how much more he could pound it. So why am I saying that? Because I would say one of the ways to get to a bigger game is to surround yourself with people that are playing one. Play a bigger game. Hang around with people that are playing a bigger game. Okay? Bigger game, meaning a game or a business game that is bigger than you. See, if you can do it yourself, if whatever your business is and you can do it yourself, you don't need a team. You really don't. You get really, really good at it, charge a lot more money and make more money, and that's fine, but you really don't need a really hardcore team. Okay? It might help. So what's the solution to that? So the solution side of that is to create a game that's so big that there's just, you can't even fathom doing it yourself. That's why I created BSTA. Before that, we created something called Sales Partners because it was a game, the mission to improve the quality of life for everybody by transforming the marketplace. Well, I went out and I started to do that on my own, and I realized it was futile because as popular as it was, I couldn't get it done. I wasn't even making a dent. I wasn't even known. Making good money, changing companies, but it wasn't right. So then I said, okay, the bigger game to improve the quality of life for everybody by creating the best teachers, leaders, and facilitators in the world. Okay, so now we got trainers. How many we trained? Now we've ramped up. I'm getting ahead of myself. So what we've done is we plotted along, created a methodology, created a curriculum, and now we get more and more people. So we have trainers in 40 countries. That's pretty good, but it's also too slow. How to make the game bigger? Okay, make the game bigger. Change the format, change the funnel, change this, change that, incorporate more people, more collaboration, not more individual marketing, more collaboration. Got it? That's what you do. That's what you do on the B and the I side, is to collaborate with others that are making things happen. So I collaborate with these guys, collaborate with Rami and Justin and Seren in India and joint venture, and we create a bigger thing. So just in the last 3 months, we've trained, or we've begun the training of over 1,200 people. I mean, typically in the past, it would take us 2 years to get to that many people. We've done it in 3 months. Bigger game, if that makes sense. There's no way I can do it myself. I teach it. I can teach it just for now. I mean, Robbie's gonna be teaching it, but it's like, so I'm just giving you my own example. How do you get a game that's bigger than you? Kimberly Ray, I'm a sales partner via Jason Everett and now looking to get my own online financial product off the ground. It's much bigger than me. Help. Okay. You're looking for create an online financial product off the ground. Sweet. I wish I could help you just right here, but I can't do that. But I would say, Kimberly, There are plenty of people that can help. Here's what I would do. If you're still in relationship with Jason Everett, who I'm still in relationship with all the time, I would give him a call, remind him who you are, and say, hey, this is what I want to do. Where can you direct me? On our team, he's probably one of the best marketers I have ever met in my life, and a highly skilled presenter and a great communicator, and he just fills the profile. I mean, he's crushing it. So check with him. If you're affiliated with him, you're in great company, and ask him, and he can steer you in some good directions. Being great at what I do. That got me on limits. I want to go further. Okay. I have an expression from Dr. Buckminster Fuller that said this: the more people I serve, the more effective I become. I'll say it again. The more people I serve, the more effective I become. So to that point, you've gotten really good at what you're doing. How many people are you serving? And if you want to serve 10 times that, how would you do that? I don't have an answer for you, but right now, all of a sudden your brain's going to go, it's going to start engaging your brain out of the box of being the sole proprietor, of the sole deliverer, the sole self-employed person. It's going to automatically force you across the quadrant to start thinking a little bit differently. Start talking to other different people. You're not going to talk to you don't want to talk to your existing tax accountant about it, because they're used to doing things at your level. They're not used to working with people at the other level. Okay? That makes sense? Oh my God, Tiffany says, this is exactly what I am wanting to do. You're so right about not letting personal stuff get in the way. Okay, good. Thank you. I wish I could say I could do that all the time, but I can't. I mean, it's like, I used to go for months thinking there was a personal issue was the problem. And now it only takes me a few minutes to realize, oh, that's me. Okay, now I can get out of that. Okay, so yeah, thank you, Yen, for writing that down. The more people I serve, the more effective I become. The more people I serve, the more effective I become. It's going to force you. That's not my quote. That's Dr. Buckminster Fuller's quote. And what that thought is going to do is it's going to start to force you to think differently. It's going to force you to think differently. You know, a chiropractor down the street that does adjustments thinks different than Johnson & Johnson. You know, Johnson & Johnson being a pharmaceutical company. I'm not pro-pharmaceutical or negative pharmaceutical or pro-chiro or whatever, but I'm saying that the thought process is very different. One is trying to serve the world. The other one is trying to get a local clientele. That's a pretty graphic example. It's one of the differences, because people say, well, that's all I can handle. No, you can handle more. You can handle more. Okay? Or you wouldn't be on this call with me for sure. Okay? You wouldn't be streaming with me. What else do we have here? Yes, thank you. Good. Excellent. Perfect. All right. So we're coming up to, we got about 10 more minutes here. I'm going to start winding it down unless you guys have any questions. But I'm going to say this. I love the topic, obviously, as you can tell. Hopefully you're getting a lot out of it. But here's a couple more tips on teams. And by the way, if you want more, if you go to Blair Singer, keep scrolling across the bottom, you go to blairsinger.com, get started. There's a ton of video, and there's the free section of the free video section is filled with entrepreneurship, little voice mastery, sales hacks, all kinds of stuff that'll make a big difference right now for you. Okay, so check it out. And also on our YouTube channel, we got videos going up every week. So go there, subscribe, share it, like it, tell other people about this thing that we do every Thursday, and please populate more, because the more questions you ask, the more material I can share. It's not that I'm not smart; it's just I've been around a while. I don't know if that came out right. Okay, so again, it forces you to think differently. It also gets you out of your comfort zone, which is a good thing. That's right. The more people I serve, the more effective I become. Okay. What was the other thing I was going to say about teams? Yeah. Teams, there is no great movement that ever got traction anywhere in the world without a team. Mac Newton, one of my coaches, says it really well. He says, we all have big goals, big goals. He goes, the problem is, he says, what's the biggest obstacle? Well, I'm going to maintain the biggest obstacle is your own little voice. I'm not good enough. I'm not big enough. And we've gone through that a number of times, and we'll go through it again. By the way, there's a brand. See me? Yeah, here we go. A 21-day challenge, by the way, I did with Jason Everett's idea. I did 21 days, 3 to 4 minutes each video, 21 techniques, how to control your little voice. Go do that. Okay, for that thing that says, I can't do it, blah, 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 all that stuff, get it handled. Okay, so what Max says, he says, you have big goals. We have big goals. And I think the number one obstacle is your little voice. What he says your biggest obstacle is he says your biggest obstacle to that goal walks on 2 legs and has hair. Walks on 2 legs and has hair. That would be other people. One of the reasons people stay small is because they don't know how to deal with other people. They stay 1, 2, 3 max people, and they just cannot handle any more than that. Why? Because they don't understand the things that we talked about here today. They don't understand about code of honor. They don't understand about how to communicate well. They don't understand that the problem is never the other person. I give you another little rule right up there with the more people I serve. And the rule is this: if a problem comes up, it's rarely ever about the other person. It's usually about something that other person triggered inside of you. It's something that the other person triggered inside of you. Work on you, and the rest will take care of itself, okay? So that's good. How do I choose where to start? Well, if you're not in business yet and you want to start, I would suggest starting part-time. In America, it's called a side hustle. And if you go online, there's the top 100 side hustles today. So everybody's trying to become an entrepreneur, right? That's one way to do it. The other way is to part-time get started and do it on your own in the very beginning if you want to, just to test it out. If you want to teach, you want to coach, you want to train, just do it a little bit. See if you even like it. See if it inspires you. See if it does, then start talking about, okay, so what's my plan? What's my team? One of the things that we teach is how to create your future visually and graphically, how to create your future. The process, there's a name for the process. It's called PERT, P-E-R-T, Project Evaluation Review Technique. You don't need to remember that. But as Bucky Fuller also said, we are meant to be architects of our future, not victims of it. We are meant to be architects of our futures, not to be a victim of the future. Okay? And maybe on another call next week or another week, we'll talk a little bit about how to create your future. Would you love that? Mo says, I love PERT. That's right. Very good. PERT, I love it. Okay. All right, you guys. So I'm going to sign off here. Great call. Thank you for the great questions. Some of you that are still up, go back to sleep. Go to sleep. But think about your teams. Think about how many people you can serve. Think about who you're surrounding yourself with that's playing a bigger game that you can learn from, and who wants to be part of something bigger than themselves. Probably one of the best recruiting tools that you have. Allow a person to be more of themselves by being part of something bigger than themselves. I'll say it one more time. Allow a person to be more of themselves by being part of something bigger than themselves. That should get you going, okay? Guys, have a great evening, great morning, great afternoon. Love you all. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.